Forever. Dog.
I mean, I feel like the obvious way to start this is to ask, like, who's your top five?
Okay.
But I feel like, but question, I'm not going to tell y'all what top five. I just want to see what list y'all start making.
The whole movie, it was rappers, right? Like, that was the whole movie?
Yeah, it's rappers.
Yeah.
But we comedians and actors.
But it can be
do whatever.
anybody, right? Like when
we
you
could
ask
do-
who's in your top five, it can be anybody.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah, but they were talking about rappers, so that's what I'm going to go with. All right, here we go. Will Smith. No.
But that's for real in your top five. Don't pretend. Don't pretend.
I mean, top five favorite or the best? It's like, is it like, who are your favorite top five? You know?
I think
always
it's who
go-
your
yeah.
favorite. I
Yeah, I go
don't
for
think
the
it's
faves.
about who's the best. It's about like who
Okay.
hits it for you. Yeah.
If it's my favorite, if it's actually my favorite, then Will Smith is in there for sure. Kanye, Will Smith, Kanye, Nelly. Gonna be real
I
about
get
it.
it. I
You
get
know,
it.
want to take a ride with me?
I get it. I get it. Come on, I get it. I get it.
Talib Kweli and Biggie. Yeah.
Okay, with the Biggie.
Oh, good.
You got Biggie in the top five? You know, I don't know mine, honestly. You know, because it's tough.
You can put S Club 7 in yours, James.
Cause that's what I'm talking about. Cause I'm saying
You
like,
can.
you know, cause if we're
You
talking
can.
rappers, Bradley from S Club 7 can, you know, he spit bars, okay?
Well, you can go your best musicians, your favorite.
Can I be really rude and say that number 6 I think actually is Eminem?
No,
Yeah,
Eminem is, no,
'cause
that's great.
If we're doing my top five, I was trying to think of like what are albums that I actually bought. Like who are people that I like was consistently listening to. Eminem was one. Outkast, Kanye, Jay-Z,
Outkast, damn.
and like, and the one more, right? One more, somebody that I would
Outkast.
consistently bought. DMX.
Oh, DMX.
DMX, that's good too.
Damn.
I like that.
See, I don't even know. You know what? But you know what? I'm a pivot. I've been thinking about my top 5 actors because I've been thinking about that recently. Because someone was like, "Who would you want to work with?" I was like, "Well, it's got to be." And this list is no particular order. Will is in that junk. Jack Nicholson is in there. Denzel's in there. Viola Davis is in there. And oh my God. I think I actually would put Eddie Murphy in there. And
Wow.
not because I think he's one of my favorite actors, because I think those are people I think I want to be in a scene with. Because I always
You're
think
just talking about who you want to work with. This is so different. When it's
That's our
when a
faves.
specific top 5. Also, would you still want to work with Jack Nicholson? Like,
I mean, I know he does, but you know what? See, that's why it's so tricky, because it's like, it's the people who inspire, but also, because Eddie did a lot. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it's not like Eddie
he did.
isn't a good actor, but also if you were able to be in a scene opposite one of them, ooh, could you imagine?
No, honestly,
Could you
honestly,
imagine?
I can't. I would probably crumble under that pressure.
Oh my God.
Any of those people, completely
Could you-
just.
Could you imagine being in the scene and like Viola Davis's character is mad at you? like, and she's mad at you, or you disappointed her? Like, I just finished How to Get Away with Murder.
It's easier to be in a scene with Viola Davis being mad at you and acting that than it is being in a scene where you have to talk back to Viola Davis.
Yeah, that's
No
the
way.
exact thought I had when
Oh
he
my
said
God,
that. It's
you're
like,
right.
if I have to be
You're
mad
right.
back.
You're right.
Then I'd be like, well, this is going to look fake.
You're right. You're right. Oh my God, I never thought about. Could you imagine having to yell at Morgan Freeman in a movie? The voice of God in so many films is like,
Morgan Freeman, if you don't shut the hell up,
hey, stop calling him Morgan Freeman. Stop calling his name.
I can't. I'm sorry. I just
His
look
name
at
is
him.
Marcus. His name is Marcus in this film. God damn it, Morgan Freeman.
Wow.
Or if you
Very
had
real.
to, could you imagine if Will Smith was a character, he actually played a villain? So you had to hate Will Smith in a movie, and it's like, but What you mean? Maybe those kids, we don't know what those kids did in that building. Maybe he had to set it on fire. Like
you just start defending him.
Like
you're going off script. You're going off script again. You keep defending him, and he's the villain.
Have you seen Timmy at the crafty line? All right, he's a little asshole. He deserved to be in there.
Crafty. That's not on film. We're not.
Oh man, this would be great.
Yeah. Are you going to actually give us your rappers or no, you don't?
I mean, my rappers are. The thing is because my number one rapper is Kanye West, but I dislike Kanye personally so much. I don't like Kanye college, young adult life. It was Kanye West. Kanye West, Jay-Z, Outkast. I did grow up with 3 6 Mafia.
Oh, come on with the 3 6.
I like 3 6 Mafia.
So 3 6 was a big deal to me. And then I'm not gonna lie, it's always tough for me to pick between Big and Pac, but I do think for me growing up, I think because of Pac's the sporadicness of what he talked about, like some days he'd be like Dear Mama, some days it would be like fuck everybody, some days it would just be like I Get Around. So it's like I think I go with Pac because he just felt like he was doing the most.
Yeah.
Is that my 5?
Yeah. And then everybody gets a 6.
Oh, you get a 6?
We all get a 6? Okay. Bradley from S Club 7, baby. Come on.
No, don't do that.
That's who your 6 is?
No, it's not. He's joking.
That's who your 6 is?
That's my number 6. Bradley from S Club 7.
I think my number
take
6.
The good with the bad, the happy with the sad. And don't get mad if things don't go the way you planned it. Oh shit!
I think my top 6. Can I do one? I have a cheat.
Wow.
My top 6 is technically Little John, but I include everybody in the down south. Little John. No. Time out.
Are you serious?
My top 6. My number 6. Little John will be number 7. Number 6 is Ludacris.
Yeah, that's my 6.
Actually,
that's my
I'm
actual
sorry.
6 too.
Hold on. I can't believe I blinked on Ludacris. I'm completely bumping Nelly out and putting Ludacris in.
He never went nowhere, but they're saying Luda's back. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And I base Luda's music. There are certain songs where I'm like, I'm not a violent person. I'm not a hype person. But if you play Move, bitch, I'm out here pushing everybody.
No, Ludacris is...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I go to 7, then Brad. Oh snap! Okay. Bradley's my number 7.
Stop it, James. I'm so mad that he just rapped that off the top. 5.
I know. I don't even know who.
Wow.
Bruh. Why you always do it when we in the middle of a conversation?
No, what do you mean? I was saying that I was mad because James was rapping. It was just like he just did it off the top. 5.
Why do you throw in 5 like
bars? You had
it was 5 bars. Is that what it was?
Yeah, yeah. You just threw.
It was 5.
Just like
bars.
right up the top. 5.
Yo,
bars of music that you did. Anyway, we should start the show.
Wow.
I'm just honestly mad at this one because I thought we were having a conversation and I just heard the 5 and I instantly got sad. All right.
Let's start the show.
Jonathan Braylock, James III, Jerah Milligan.
What more can I say? You know what it is.
Black men can't jump.
Black actors, man. Black actors. All right.
Welcome to Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood.
Hollywood City.
Smile. No, your heart is breaking. What?
Boo.
Hey, yo, check this out. My favorite was he asked him if he had a minute before he...
And he's like, yeah.
Yes, I'm in prison.
How?
And nigga, I'm in jail.
How rude is it that he got DMX to, DMX agreed to be in this movie, but ain't nobody said DMX in their top 5. They had 12 people talk about their top 5.
Also, DMX was was in
how many
James's
people
top.
said...
Yeah, he was in my top.
Okay, at least we had him in ours.
At least we got him.
At least we had him in ours.
I was a little annoyed how many people said KRS-One because I was just like, all right, we get it. Like he's one of the
You're authentic.
But come on now, ain't nobody I don't believe this many people listen to that. Listen to him, like
Pusha
on the
T.
daily. Like I just don't believe it.
Pusha T's in my top. Honestly, Goonie Nikki, like when Nikki's in goon mode, fire. Like I care what no one
true.
says. Like when she's
Minaj?
not making pop, when she's doing goon, bruh.
That's true.
E40. I mean, half the time I listen to Meg sounds
Actually-
like such a Houston rapper. I'm like, yeah, I get where you from, Meg. You fight. Like, this is tough.
Actually,
Proof from
yeah, and
D12.
no one said
you
Missy
say?
Elliott,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
no one said Missy Elliott.
Damn, Missy.
which is rude. Yeah.
I can't do a
remember
top
Proof?
5, yo.
Proof
I do
from
remember
D12?
Proof. Yeah, I do.
I thought when he went solo, and then he didn't do well when he went solo, and then of course he was shot. But I was like, yo, he's really good. I was really looking forward to his solo career.
Lil Kim, bro. I don't
Yeah.
care what no one tell.
Lil
Yo,
Kim.
this list is hard. It's hard. It's hard.
Actually, I do have to knock out Will Smith and put Missy Elliott in now that I.
you're right.
I know.
Missy's fire. Because you're always going to change your top. Like you're always
Well,
going to.
here's the thing. I love a couple Will Smith songs, but he's just clearly not a top 5 rapper. Like that's not.
But he could be your
Even-
top.
Yeah, even
Yeah, he's
I
allowed
like
to be in
him.
somebody's top.
Yeah, no,
I
he's
mean,
allowed to be. Anyway,
I would say Little Kim was a part of my like so many. I didn't know what sexiness was when I was watching Little Kim, but I was like, your lyrics are good, but something about you, I'm so drawn to, and I was like, oh man, she was a part of like the sexual awakening. You know what I mean? The poster for hardcore. I was like, phew. I bought
mean-
cassette tapes for that. After that, I was like, shit.
Lady Marmalade.
Oh come on, brother.
Come on.
Come on, brother. And she's fire.
Lone
Lone rapper
Marmalade.
in that song.
Yo,
Video.
Okay,
fire.
Lil Wayne
Chris-
also.
Chris
Lil
Rock.
Wayne.
Chris is in my top 5. Chris is
Lil
my
Wayne's
number 1.
great.
Like
He's outside the top 5.
I'm saying, comedians.
Okay.
Chris
Oh,
Chris
top
Rock
5
is my number 1.
comedians.
Chris Rock's my number
Well,
1.
of course. I think Richard Pryor is my number 1, but I think Chris Rock is number 2.
Richard's my 2.
George Carlin.
That's my 4.
This
Chappelle's
is
actually
hard.
6 for me.
Chappelle's
Chappelle's 6.
5 for me. Who is 4?
Ooh, would he be 5 or 6?
Goodness.
Because
Okay,
Eddie's
well,
in there.
Martin Lawrence is up there.
Oh, Martin, shit.
I mean, Cat Williams. I mean,
Cat.
I've consistently laughed throughout all of his special. Like, I don't think there's anybody like that for me, where like just everything they say, I'm dying laughing.
Ellen DeGeneres is my 4.
Okay,
Kevin Hart is in my top 5 somewhere.
I mean,
Kevin's up there. Yep.
Kevin's number 6, I guess, for me.
I mean, Kevin has my thing about Kevin is he did something that was so interesting where it's like when we do improv, we always have these callbacks. But Kevin, to me, perfected the callback in stand-up where it's
Yeah.
like, I know your catchphrases by the end of the special because you have me saying it by the end of the special.
There's one. What's the one where when he's in the gray suit? That one, I think he does callbacks. It's like like he spends the whole first half like just setting stuff up, and then
Wait, is
at
that
exactly
seriously
the
funny?
halfway mark, he just starts knocking down all the callbacks, and it's like so funny. And then
Yeah.
also callbacks to other specials. It's so that one particularly with callbacks. I got to look that up to figure out.
I'm trying to see which one you mean. I mean, he's got a ton.
And,
but yeah,
and even in this movie, just everything he said, I was just laughing. It was like I was.
mean,
just,
he was so funny in this. Oh, by the way, for those listening for the first time, my name is Jonathan. My name is Jonathan Braylock.
I'm Jerah Milligan.
I'm James the Third.
God,
Okay.
why?
He's always happy. We are a film review podcast. We actually review films. We talk about leading black actors in Hollywood.
Yeah.
In the context of race and diversity. And today we are reviewing the 2014 film Top 5 starring Chris Rock and Rosario Dawson. And it also has every one of Chris
everybody.
Rock's friends.
Everybody.
So
Whoopi
many people in
Goldberg,
it.
Tracy Morgan,
Everybody's
Leslie
in it.
Jones,
A bunch
Jay
of cameos.
Farrow,
JB
Kevin.
Smoove is another main character.
Oh yeah.
Always great. JB Smoove is so funny too. There are it's so interesting because there are certain comedians who I don't think they have any like a memorable special, but if you were to say, hey, you have like 15 minutes to show somebody that like indoor comedy is hilarious. I would pick like JB Smoove or Sinbad. You know what like there are certain comedians who are like, no matter what their material is, what night it is, they're always going to be funny because they're just like funny people. I think Kevin Hart's like that too.
Also, they have unique voices. Like if I was to close my eyes and just listen to JB Smoove tell jokes or just talking like he has a funny voice, like Kevin's cadence is so funny. Chris Rock's cadence is hilarious. You know what I mean? Like I remember listening to some more, and the way she talks about stuff is like it's so sexual, but yet so funny at the same time. And I'm like, this matters. Like I remember Monique growing up, and like my aunts loved her because Monique had that like, she sounded like an auntie, just like an aggressive ass auntie. And I'm like, yo, I think that's the beauty of comedy. What comedy? How we do stand up after this? How shit.
Hey, we got it. Everybody going outside. Everybody doing it outside. It's fine.
Yeah.
We good.
Are they doing it here in LA now? Are they outdoor?
Yeah, they're doing outdoor stuff in LA.
Yeah, they're outdoor stuff.
Oh shit.
Okay, back on track. Anyway, top 5. Let me just run down this real quick because this film, it was written and directed by Chris Rock, obviously starring Chris Rock as well. It had an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. It had a 64% audience score. Interesting. I remember like it was in the conversation for awards, but it didn't actually get nominated for any like big awards except for I think New York Critic Awards. And let's see, box office wise, it grossed $26 million off of let's see, this says $12 million budget. So,
Oh, Bernie Mac. God, sorry. Bernie Mac
has one of the funniest sets of all time for sure.
Well, so everyone knows
great.
One of the great reasons for doing this movie is, Chris Rock had that wonderful interview coming out because Fargo was dropping, and it's like, yo, my man, I remember seeing this movie in theaters, and I was like, it felt personal, and I think that was the beauty of Tambourine. Like, I know some people didn't feel like it was as funny, but it felt like a person who is now in their 50s reflecting on life, which I think is kind of like what I think should happen to almost every artist. Like, if you're a rapper, it's like, I can't listen to you talk about selling drugs at 42. Like, you're rich.
Right.
Talk about what your life is like now. And I think that's what Tambourine was. And I think even this movie is like, reading that article, what was it, The Hollywood Reporter? Is that what it was, Bray? Because you sent it. Or was it Variety?
Yeah, it
Hollywood
was
Reporter.
Hollywood Reporter.
Like, even him talking about this movie came out before Birth of a Nation did, or The Birth of a Nation. And I was like,
right.
He did so much this, and then even him talking about Tyler Perry doing Boo, the fact that Boo came from like the joke in this is like, there's so much was in this movie that I think was just ahead of its time. Goodness. I guess I'm gonna just jump into my initial thought. I love this movie. Like, I think it's super smart. I love all the cameos. I love seeing Jerry Seinfeld toss money in a strip club and then get robbed by a stripper. I think that's mad funny to me. I love seeing Adam Sandler talk about, hey, get that prenup. Did you get it? Shit. That's funny.
Yeah, I didn't.
And to me, I mean, just seeing the character deal with, do you find yourself being funny outside of drink? Like, to me, it's like, I could not do, when we did improv, there was no night I could do it without having 2 glasses of wine before getting on stage. It was just a tradition. I felt like if I didn't do it, I wasn't loose. So I understand that. Seeing Rosario Dawson, who is always good, elevate scenes, especially at the end, I was like, this is great. And also, I love her Cinderella. I always think about Spinderella, and I was like, yo, there's something very important about this Cinderella like story that I think is cool.
Yeah.
So I'm all the way in for it.
I love this movie. When I saw it in 2014 or maybe 2015, whenever, because I didn't see it in theaters, I saw it after the fact. I was like, oh yeah, this movie's like fine, and oh, look at how cool all these cameos are. But I wasn't like, I didn't love it then. But watching it now, I'm in in a different place and thinking about like what someone like that could have been going through. And like, I don't know, it hit different watching it now. Like I have mad respect for it. I really feel like it's a great story that deals with the highs and lows, and yeah, I identified with all of that. Like, oh, not feeling funny anymore. Like lashing out for, like, trying so hard to change his whole outward persona just because, you know, he's in a different place in his life and is scared and doesn't know if he can do it. I love how everyone showed up for this movie. Everybody was just like, yeah, I'll do a scene. Like, so many people just did, you know, a few hours work on this movie. And loved that. I have one note for the movie, and it's just I didn't like that he went up and just did stand up, and it was like polished stand up. That's the only problem I have with it. I was like, oh, I would have loved for it to be like a little bit more. I've seen people at that level get up and like be actually trying something, you know, and like it would have been nice to see that. That being said, I mean, the comedy, of course, is super funny. And the Cinderella thing hit different this time, and like his connection to Rosario, and I don't know, it just watching it now, I have like mad respect for it, and I feel like when I first saw it, it just hit me at a different. I was at a different point in my life and at a different level had a different perspective.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think this movie is great. I mean, it's very easy to watch. It's like very enjoyable. I think I saw it. I think I also saw it in a different light the first time I saw it, because just the nature of, you know, the award seasons and like you know, I personally get like too focused on that sometimes. And so whenever there's like a black movie up for awards, I'm like, oh man, hopefully like this will be one that like wins stuff. I think this was around the same year that, I wonder what, actually, no, it was before 12. It was after 12 Years a Slave. I'm trying to remember what came out in 2014. Oh, but this Oscars was the Oscars So White. So this was an Oscars So White year. And it was like, and I remember going like, this is great, but it's like not gonna, cause it's a comedy. It's like it's not meant for awards. You know what I mean? So it was like, it was tough because they were pushing it in that regard, but it just wasn't an awards type movie. And so when you like remove that kind of stigma, then like this is such an enjoyable film. It's also super personal because like I don't know how much what was going on, but like Chris Rock clearly got a divorce after this film came out, and like it like, especially looking back at it now, I'm like, man, like he must have been thinking all of these thoughts, you know, and like working something out with this script, which is interesting. I don't know if it's a comment. I don't know if it was necessarily a commentary on his wife. Like, I don't know if Gabrielle Union was like actually, you know what I mean? Like similar in that regard, but it was also like him, like looking at himself and like being like, you know, I remember when this movie came out, I remember like maybe a year or two before, I had seen Chris Rock do stand up at UCB at Whiplash, and he said a similar. Whiplash was what a great show that was, man, dude. Wow. So it was a completely free show, Mondays at 11. Show. And they had so many great comedians drop in, and there was this one night where there was so many great people, and Chris Rock was one of them. And he said the exact same thing he said in this movie. He came out and everyone went wild, obviously, because Chris Rock. And then he was like, you guys need to like lower your, like, this is not going to be good. You really need to lower your expectations. Like, it was very similar. But then he started telling jokes, and one of them was in his Netflix special with the 9/11 thing about like, why did they build that like towers there?
If it don't duck.
He said, yeah, duck. And he said that during this set, and it was so funny. And I was like, this dude is a comedic genius. Anyway, so it was, I remember just thinking, and also like the late great Kevin Barnett was in this brief cameo. And I just remember this was like a time where it was like, Leslie Jones had just gotten on, Michael Che had just gotten on SNL. It was like, it just felt like he was like, I don't know. It was really, felt like a little passing of the torch. It was like an honoring of all these different Black comedians. So it's super personal. So, and you can feel it in the movie. I think it's really nice. The only critique I have, and honestly, it's not really fair, but I'm just going to say it because I do think about it, is that I just think that Chris Rock's acting ability is somewhat limited. So there are certain moments in the movie that I was like, it felt slightly off. And I appreciated the relationship with him and Rosario Dawson way more this time, the second time watching it. The first time, I really didn't feel it. This time, I felt it a little more. But I was also noticing, like, man, Rosario Dawson is such a good actor. Gabrielle Union is such a good actor. Like, he had, like, really great actors surrounding it. Like, the women were really great actors. And then he has all these funny comedians who just get to do comedy. They don't have to really do anything else. And then Chris Rock has to both do the comedy. Like, a lot of the stuff he says feel like stand-up. But then when we get to the acting moments, he's like, it's like there, but, not, there's just a slight limitation. But it's funny because, like, the movie anyway, I'm talking too much. But I really do like this movie.
No, I think you're right. But I also think it's one of those things where, like, because he's doing a lot of these emotional scenes against Rosario Dawson, who's been acting since kids.
It's kind of unfair.
Yeah, it's like kids. I mean, that final scene, she is so good, and I'm like, oh yeah, you've been acting since you were like 12 or 13. This makes total sense. But yeah, wait, what happens at the beginning of this movie?
Yeah, it opens with them like walking down the street. Oh my goodness, I definitely miss New York.
Man, I made me miss New York.
It makes me miss New York. It makes me not want to be in quarantine.
I know, just being out.
I was just like, all this stuff was like painful to watch. But it's actually a scene that's in the middle of the movie, but they showed in the beginning. The editing of this was interesting. I think it did help. I can see them in the edit room going like, we need to spice this up a little bit. It's just a little too, and somehow like the ways in which they like cut stuff together did, like, I don't know, it gave it a little jolt. I appreciated that. Like, even this, like the way that it starts with him in the middle of this interview. And they're talking about like everything matters, like a like a movie. It's just she's like, it's just the movies. Like, no, like it's saying everything's saying something. A movie, a book, a song. And then he's like, something's changed, and he does the taxi thing.
But that's something interesting because I feel like he talks about. I feel like there are a lot of important storylines in the movie. Like, again, having a stand up. Because for some reason I thought about Martin Lawrence a lot. While watching this movie.
Yeah.
Because of, if you take out alcohol, and I know Chris Rock, from that article and Tambourine, like, he wasn't addicted to alcohol, but he was addicted to porn, right? And so I feel like, Martin had a big drug problem. I feel like everyone has this thing, and I feel like sometimes it's interesting to have a person be known but feel like they can't be great at the thing without the drug or assistance of something else. Like, there's so many painters where like, oh, I can't paint, my child was my inspiration, my child passed away, I can't do the thing. And like, then all of a sudden it's like, who are you at that point? I thought that was very fascinating. Also how they handled Gabrielle Union, I thought was very interesting, because when she finally got to talk about herself at the end, I was like, oh, maybe this is, I think about social media people, like maybe there is something to it. It's like, your life's gratification may seem like it comes from taking these selfies and flat tummy teas, but at the end of the day, like, this is the essence of who you are now, because so much of who you think you are is attached to this one thing. Like, all these celebrities who are famous and they're not famous anymore. It's like, who are you when you don't got the thing? So I think it's something really fascinating to some of the morals and things he wanted to hit. Right. He's just so smart, man. He's mad smart, dog. Like, Chris Rock's super smart. His acting, yes. I think when we see Fargo and stuff, I think it's going to be better because the whole season is a drama with him as the lead. But But I think this was a step. I think this was the step into the new direction for Chris Rock. It was like, motherfucker with the hat, this movie, and now I'm an adult. And,
Yeah.
this was the foray into that.
For sure, yeah.
Hi. I feel like I'm like popping up out of a gopher hole. Hi. Hello. This is Lindsay and Kelly from the Teen Creeps podcast, and we want to let all Forever Dog listeners know that Mint Mobile is introducing their unlimited data plan for just $30 a month.
Go ahead and let that sink in.
How much are you getting charged now? Huh? Let us guess. Way too much?
Probably. By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes significant savings onto you.
All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network.
You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Oh my God, I just imagined a world where I couldn't keep my contacts.
And then you'd be like, I don't know anybody anymore. If you're not 100% satisfied, Mint Mobile has you covered with their 7-day money-back guarantee.
We both use Mint Mobile. My best friend uses Mint Mobile. Your mom and sister use Mint Mobile. I have experienced absolutely no difference. I may as well be on the same service I was before.
Nothing but joy, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves it. Everybody loves it. I'm screaming about it to everybody.
Break up with Big Wireless and switch to Mint Mobile's premium unlimited data plan for $30 a month.
And make sure to check out the ultimate YA Pulp Fiction podcast, Teen Creeps. That's our podcast. Every Wednesday, right here on Forever Dog. To get your new unlimited wireless plan for just $30 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Hollywood.
That's mintmobile.com/Hollywood.
Hey, Forever Dog listeners, it's Jonathan Braylock
Jerah Milligan.
And James the Third.
from Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood. This year, we have seen what staying silent can do. And right now, you have an unprecedented opportunity to speak up, cast your vote, and be heard.
It's never too early to register to vote, but it might be too late before you know it.
We want to help make it easy for you to register and have a plan for November 3rd or before if early voting is an option in your state so that your country can finally reflect your values.
Yes, go to foreverdogpodcast.com/vote to register. Check on your registration often. You should do it like every day to make sure and learn how to fill out your ballot.
I don't know about every day, but listen.
Every day.
All right, still register.
Good. Am I good? All right.
Gotta make sure people care.
All right, each state is different, so make sure you're following local rules and regulations. And remember, your voice, your vote. That's foreverdogpodcast.com/vote.
Take care of yourselves and take care of each other.
Yeah, but y'all better vote.
All right, go vote.
Hello, Forever Dog listeners. This is Julie Klausner,
And I'm Tom Sharpling.
and we host a podcast called Double Threat on the Forever Dog Network that we are commanding you to subscribe to. Tom, what is Double Threat?
Well, thank you for asking, Julie. Double Threat's a show where you and I listen to clips of things that drive us up the wall, and we make fun of them, and we make each other laugh, and we have a great time doing it.
And we watch silly things and listen to silly clips like Alec Baldwin interviewing Woody Allen on his podcast, which was a nightmare from hell.
And did you know that disgraced pizza magnate Papa John is giving tours of his mansion over on TikTok? We do, because we watched it, and it was not good.
By the way, we should also mention that the AV Club named us one of the best podcasts of 2020 because they did, and it's true, and we are, baby.
And here on Double Threat, we got great guests. We had guests like Desus and Mero,
Bob the Drag Queen,
Patton Oswalt,
Io Adebri.
and that, my friends, is just the tip of the iceberg.
What
Double
is-
Threat comes out each and every Monday, and you can subscribe on the Forever Dog Network, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Do it. Subscribe. Goodbye.
Yeah, like, so, and the movies, for those who haven't seen it, the movie's plot is pretty simple. It's like Chris Rock is playing basically a version of himself. He's a famous comedian who's done movies. He has a series of like really, this film called Hammy, where he just dresses up as a bear, you know, it's kind of like Big Mama, or, it's like just those silly movies that don't really mean much. And he wants to get into some more serious stuff. We find out like he stopped doing comedy. Like he hasn't done stand-up in a long time. People keep asking why. They still see him as a comedian. And he has this movie coming out where he's it's about the Haitian Revolution, like Haitian slave rebellion. And it's clear that nobody's going to see it. And then he also is getting married to his wife, who's a reality television star. And so their marriage is being broadcast. So it's like a little bit of like keeping the Kardashians in there, keeping up with the Kardashians in there. And like a lot of people implying that his marriage isn't real. And he's like taking offense to that, but you can kind of see throughout the movie that he like also believes that it's not really that real. Mm-hmm. And then it's just like him and this reporter, Rosario Dawson, for the New York Times, who's just doing this interview with him the whole day. And he's mad at the New York Times. Yeah. So what do we? I mean, I guess we should just talk about the like scenes and stuff, because like the actual thread line is not that important.
Yeah. I loved every time he walked around Manhattan and someone would go, "Hey, Hamid."
Yeah.
Hey, Hamid.
Every time he was in a public, the whole movie, people would be staring at him or calling him Hammy or asking him when he was going to do another Hammy movie. One time, the one part that really stuck out to me was when he was like, when they were like getting hot dogs or whatever the street food that they were getting, and just the next person in line, they're only in the movie for a second, but all they did was stare directly into his face as they walked up to get it. And it was just such a detail of just like, yeah, like he's huge and he always has eyes on him, and like the pressure of that,
I mean, my favorite sequence, not favorite, but one of my favorites is the sequence with Cedric. Like, when do you know you need to get help? And then Cedric shows up as like this pimp dude, man. I don't even know what you call this guy. Like,
hey, man, I'm the man in Houston, man. I'm the man in Houston.
And he kept saying it. Hey, man, you mind if I get that? Mind if I get some of them? They lock the hangers.
They got the lock on it.
They got the...
All right, dog.
They got the lock
see you later,
on it.
dog.
They got the...
I mean, he was so fun. There are so many comedians in here that star. Like Cedric's one of those people where you're just like, my God, like he can be funny whenever he wants to be. He just has it on lock. JB Smoove the same way. He was just like, he could be funny whenever he wants. Like he was so good in this movie. And I thought JB Smoove had a lot of great moments as the like friend for a long time. Like, I mean, this is skipping way ahead, but like at the end when Chris Rock gets out of jail, and JB Smoove is just like, hey man, when you get one call me.
Yeah,
it was like so real. It was like you could feel the hurt, but you could also be like, I'm here for you. Like, like don't act like I'm your friend. Like, why are you gonna call your agent or whatever? Your wife, like your wife. Yeah.
I mean, that's so real though.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine? Like, think about it. Like, when you make it big, you know exactly the friends from back home who you got to bring with you. Like, not even have to, but it's like, I mean, you got to be there. Like, it's just,
it's not have to out of obligation. It's like if you're not there, then I'm not gonna.
Like, what are we doing?
I will.
Like,
yeah.
So I mean, I think that's so fascinating. And then even, and we said Kevin Hart shows up for like 3 minutes, and my man, like, you can't get 5 for saying nigga to a nigga.
He goes over, he closes the door.
And the whole time, people are running in the background. Hey, where am I going?
What's happening? Bitch still enough. Nobody tells me shit.
His headset's falling off the whole time.
I also love that his agent, like, very plainly is telling him, like, has been telling him everything wrong. Like, every step he shouldn't take in his career. And he took all of them. Like, every single thing. He's like, I have openly told you not to do this.
Like, I sent the email.
So funny.
I sent the email, so it was proof that I told this nigga not to do it.
Like, I said, I risked it. I said nigga on an email. And he's like, well, you can't get in trouble for saying nigga to a nigga. Nigga, what you talking about? Hold on.
Yo.
Closes the door. Nigga, nigga, of course you can get in trouble for saying nigga to a nigga.
Yeah, you think a black
All right,
person
nigga.
own this company? Like, that's so real. That's sometimes I feel like I have conversations even with y'all where like I realize that other people are listening, and I have to check myself. Like there's sometimes I'm on like a Zoom with Shantae or something, and I'm like, nigga, what do you? And I just feel like I can say this to you, but I'm looking and there's 4 other people on the Zoom that ain't black, so I just gotta. Ooh, I can't say the words that I want to say out my mouth. Like, nigga, why are you? That's so good. Also, isn't Chris Rock like? I feel like I heard some crazy story where like what is the passing of the torch? Like, you know, the like Eddie put Chris on, but then when Chris was, I think after he did In Living Color and he was doing stand up, like he like unbeknownst put on like Martin, but then he also found Leslie Jones. Like I love hearing a story about like a dude who like can vouch for other people. Like even in that Hollywood Reporter article, he talks about, yo, there's people who I got in that movie. You know, it's like I can never tell you because that's messed up. But he's like, people will call me as the black friend, and like I will put this person in the movie.
Right. I think about that a lot, though, right? Like the you know, I don't do stand up anymore, but like if you're doing stand up and you need somebody to open for you, you need them to be good. Like you need them to not suck. You know, like you need to have somebody who you know can really get the crowd going. And then also probably to some degree, you're like, it's either you're like, I know I have to top that, you know, or you're like, or you know they're gonna get it to a place where you can like come out and then do your thing and destroy it, right? But like you don't want like you don't want like some non-starter to come out and like
fuck up your whole energy of the room. But I always think about like what happens, like for instance, this movie had all these great black comedians, and then even, you know, Chris Rock, Adam Sandler, Jerry Seinfeld. But I keep thinking like, what does our top 5 look like when we're late 40s, 50? Because I think for our generation, there were so many different outlets to comedy. Like, I feel like, I mean, probably all of us started doing stand-up, like, then got into sketch, then started writing, some would direct, whereas, like, I feel like at that juncture in life, stand-up was the main focus, and then you were able to branch out into other things, where I feel like before you were selling out stadiums, we had an opportunity to do something else. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of our friends who were really dope stand-ups took the opportunity to do other shit. So it's like in the movie, in our top 5, you would have a bunch of writers. Like you would have, you know,
like
sketch
top 5
performers.
comedians now means
it would
like,
be comedy.
Who wrote that great internet sketch? You know, that sketch that went viral is in your top 5, or like a TikTok star or something.
Yeah.
I mean, there are still like stand-ups who put out, but yeah, I know what you mean though, because it's like you can get. It's weird. Like we live in this time where more people can be on television and write for television, like way more than before. But you're not as famous. No one, like there are very few people as famous, you know. So it's like
Sam J been writing for years. Like Sam J had her special, but like Sam J for the last 2-3 years has been writing on SNL. You know what I mean? Like, so I always think about you have all these dope comics, but everyone like Janelle James is writing, you know, but still doing stand up. But it's like we have so many.
But that's what I mean. Like Sam J. I mean, we went to the JFL that Sam J performed at.
Oh yeah,
for New Faces. Yeah. That was like 2017.
Yeah, that was just a handful of years ago.
And then like
that was the other day.
Like, and it's interesting. Like Ali Wong, for instance. Ali Wong had an incredible has had 2 incredible Netflix stand-up specials, but like isn't going to be like it's still not going to be as big as like, you know, like a Chris Rock or even an Ellen, or even, I mean, maybe I don't know if you would consider Ali as big as like Wanda Sykes, but like, I don't know. It just feels like it feels a little different. Like,
because we don't have, it felt like before, again, like before for me, it's like, because there were less writing jobs, like you said, Bray, a lot of stand-ups, they had to tour, so they were constantly doing it. But now, if you're a funny stand-up, or a funny comedian, period, someone's going to be like, hey, come write for me on this show. And then you got to do stand-up in your spare time. You know what I mean? Because you're probably working so much and you're doing so much comedy. And I think about, you're a good point about Ali Wong. Ali Wong has written a bunch of stuff, but now what it's probably going to do to make Ali Wong a household name for real, is she's going to have to get the Ali Wong show, the sitcom that has her name on it, you know?
Yeah,
like,
it's a little less, I mean, like, I guess like Ali Wong's stand-up did like make her popular, but it's not as popular as like a huge, like HBO specials don't mean as much today. And I say that with my,
it doesn't.
Obviously.
But it's also, there is
true,
an oversaturation of stand-up comedy as well, right? Like there are now more writing jobs, so people that do stand-up are doing stand-up less, but then there's also, you know, with Netflix being like, we're gonna have a stand-up special released every week, and sort of taking up that. I mean, Comedy Central Presents still happens on occasion, but HBO's not doing like they're not doing their half hours anymore, and like, you know, but there's still so much stand-up. Like people that have a Netflix account that probably wouldn't watch, that may not watch stand-up, are like being shown stand-up all the time now, you know, like,
and you can see stand-up, you could see world comedian stand-ups, like I know who Hannah Gadsby is, like you can see, like they can be popular without even coming here and doing the circuit here, like there's a bunch of British comedians that I've seen specials for, like they have that, like, I don't know, that's kind of a cool thing.
I mean, it's just interesting because I think about like that scene. The two scenes that were really cool was the scene at, I guess, Tracy Morgan's house, and then that scene in the club, because when you think about that table had Whoopi Goldberg, Jerry Seinfeld, Adam Sandler, and Chris Rock. And then however people will talk about Adam Sandler movies, we all know that his movies do extremely well on Netflix. And also, that dude has been around since his early 20s. And I mean, for me, a lot of my upcoming comedy was Waterboy, was Billy Madison, was The Wedding Singer. And to see that table, it's like, these are stand-up greats. Like, I always just think about I don't know, it made me really reflective, like, what is our 30 years from now going to look like?
Right.
And not in a bad way. It's just interesting because I think our generation is different. I think we had to be a little bit more we had to do a little bit different things. Like before you could be a singer, actor, you know, dancer, but now it's like you got to direct, you got to write, you got to, for them, a lot of the time, do it yourself and then get on from that. So I'm just very fascinated to know like who will be our greats that will have that comedy conversation. You know what I mean? Like, that was just a cool, you know, like when we do our movie, like who do we have in it? I don't know. I just think about that.
Yeah. I mean, there's still a lot. I like, you know, a bunch of people doing really good stand-up. It's just that the production, the amount of specials like that, all right, it's just never going to reach the level that the comedians used to do.
Yeah.
You know, it just won't. Yeah. So it's like, it's harder because they don't have I think Ali Wong is an incredible stand-up, but she only has like, two big specials and then like maybe a half hour. You know what I mean? Like,
it's also so funny to say only has two big specials. When you think about Eddie Murphy, it's like, he has two big specials.
Yeah, he had two like movies. They came out in movies.
They came out in theaters.
Yeah.
But that's like, and that's the difference, right? Like, it's like, and the last special to come out in movie theaters was like a Kevin Hart. And like, I don't even think people even want to do that. Like, right? Like a couple years ago, Kevin Hart's special came out in theaters, and then now, there might be some comics that are just like, I have to reach that point. But like, I don't know, if I were starting in stand-up now, I wouldn't even want that.
Like, no, I want to just put my shit on Netflix, man. Like, give me this. Give me this 500,000 to 20 million, and let me just. I mean, think about it. When Eddie Murphy's Netflix special actually drops, like,
oh, that's right. I forgot that was happening.
Oh man, I know the amount of money that dude got paid. But I always think about that. It's like that would be something if it was the heyday. It would have to be an event that would be in a movie theater. But now this big comeback is going to be on Netflix.
Honestly, that is something. If Netflix is like, this is going to play in like 3 theaters, I'll go to one of them. That would be
would.
fun.
I would.
Yeah.
I would.
Even in this pandemic. It's coming out tomorrow in the pandemic in this theater. I'm going to it.
I mean, again, wait, another crazy scene in this movie is when Rosario just shows up to her boyfriend's hotel. And I do believe this. I don't pop up on no motherfucking body. I just don't. Like, my luck isn't that good. I don't need to pop up on nobody because I don't need to pop up and like see some shit I can't see. You know, I just don't do it. Like, there's one time I tried to surprise a girl I was dating at work, at her work, and nothing happened, but I just couldn't unsee it. I met her work husband, and I was like,
oh, yeah, never meet somebody's work spouse. Never meet their work spouse.
But how I saw the spouse, because again, I knew the name, like, you know, I had a work, like everybody got a work spouse or whatever. But when I saw him, he was just, you ever just meet somebody who's comfortable? You know what I mean? Who's just like, just comfortable. And he was so drastically opposite of me. And I was like, you about to have this tall, buff ass dude just over here just leaning over your desk, over here and telling jokes. This is my thing. As a small dude, the jokes are what helped me out. But you gonna have this tall ass nigga with muscles telling jokes, and you over here just laughing? I couldn't unsee it. I couldn't unsee it. I've never surprised anybody since. That shit was in. I was in college, and I went, and it was at the Gap.
You couldn't unsee a work spouse?
No, because I wasn't ready. I was too insecure. I wasn't ready. My man over here and he was like the manager of the Gap. Or was it the Gap or like BB? One of those clothing stores. Like, man, why he even here? It was a woman's store. It's BB. Like, why is he even in this joint?
Yeah, I just love the scene afterwards when Chris was trying to explain away like it was nothing. No, they just meet up at a hotel room and they swap
change clothes. They were cold. They were cold. Like, hey man, let's just change shirts.
What's his name was so funny, by the way. The guy from
great.
Workaholics. What's his name? Anders?
Anders.
Oh my God, he was so funny. Like the physical comedy that he did on the bed with that.
And he's like, why?
He was like,
why? Why?
She put a tampon with hot sauce on it.
Like,
and stuck it up his butt.
Why? That thing had me. I mean, there were so many good scenes. I mean, also, I think which is so interesting is like that scene with, it was just a subtle thing. It was that scene with Chris Rock in the grocery store, and he opens it, he drinks it, and then there's another shot of him just like smiling to himself as he has the bottle in his hand. And I think that is something that's so indicative of like addiction, where it's not the first hit, it's the satisfaction of it that comes.
Yeah.
Like a second later.
And I think that was really lost on me the first time I saw it. I felt like this was an element of the movie that hit much harder on the rewatch. Like, he takes the bottle that he knows is hidden behind the radiator and just sniffs it and then throws it away. You know, when he and Rosario go into the liquor store after the scene with Anders, and they're just like, and he's just like, we gotta get out of here. Like, the danger of being in there was like really heavy this time, you know. And like, yeah, and that whole scene, it's just like, it's super sad to see him. We only see him take a couple sips, but he is so happy, and then he puts 4 6-packs of this same, like, he's gonna drink all of these tonight. Yeah. He's gonna drink all of them tonight.
Also, was so sad because I think he had a lot of. Sorry, we're skipping around, but why not?
Oh, yeah.
He also had like a really important thing when he was talking about when he hit rock bottom, and he goes, I wasn't even famous then, but when you're a little famous, people will tell you anything. And I would say when our Netflix show came out and I went back home for the first time, I mean, I remember people who did not fuck with me. I mean, I remember people who would like, I remember I went to a school and there was a girl in my class who said, like, it was our senior year, and it was like, oh, you had to say something nice about people before we graduated. And she goes, I know you want to do the acting thing. I'm not sure that's going to work out, but I'm sure you're gonna, but I'm sure you're not gonna be poor. Those are the exact words. I remember it.
My God,
And
what a
sure
thing
enough,
to say.
I remember, but this was a friend. Like this wasn't an enemy. Like this was a girl who was in our friend group. And I remember she said it, and I ran into her in December, and it was like it was almost as if that moment never happened. And I was like, if this is on such a poor scale, can you imagine what a Chris Rock,
the things that they've been told, people have said to them,
but who now need them, but who now because I do think it's a certain thing where like, to an extent, people feel like they need to be attached to you because maybe they don't have the life they want. So like, success in you can help propel them in their mindset.
When he sees, to that same end, when he sees his dad outside the apartment complex, and his dad is just like, Hollywood, hey Hollywood, and he's just like
shitting on
basically
him.
shitting on him the whole time. Like hardcore. And like Ben Vereen, this one scene, again, everybody doing one scene, acted the shit out of this scene. And when he then stops and asks him for money, it's like quiet. He don't want anybody else to hear that that's what's happening. Like you could just tell, like he's like, I'm gonna shit on you, but I need you. I don't have a check. Maybe I did cash my check. I need it. Can I have money? You know?
Yeah. And that's tough because like you do feel obligated to help. Like, I mean, there are people I still help, and I'm like, why? Because it's like it's ingrained in you because you don't want to be an asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like if my dad was like, "Hey, I need some money," I'm gonna be like, "Nigga, who is you? Fine, take it." You know what I'm saying? It's like, just take the thing. So I think Chris did a lot of dope stuff with this movie. I do think because of what Bray is saying, I think because his acting is decent, but not, I guess, strong enough to like really come off on some of the scenes. I think that probably hindered some of the award season stuff because, you know, these introspective movies, people get nominated for. I mean, not blacks, but, you know, white people get nominated for him. It's just I think his acting needed to be a little bit. Also, you know what? It may have had too many jokes. I think it needed to be, for people to take it more serious, it needed to be a little bit more sadder. And then I think it would.
That's what I'm saying. This was ultimately a comedy. It wasn't really a drama. Like there was a romance storyline in there, but like more of a romance storyline that's in the comedies more so than like an actual romance movie. You know what I mean? And it was like not that. It was like fun, like interesting, introspective stuff, but it wasn't. Nothing felt serious because it was because like. The reality star portion of it, the hammy stuff, like it was just like silly. So, and we already know that the Oscars don't respect they just don't respect comedies unless it's
isn't that the problem, Bray? Like hearing you talk the whole time, I'm like, yo, the problem is exactly what you're saying. It's like they don't respect comedy. Where like
they don't respect comedy, yeah.
The reality star portion of it is silly, but that is a facet of our life now. Like that is. Being a famous reality star is just as big, or if not bigger, than being a Hollywood celebrity. Because now Hollywood celebrities are competing with reality people and social media stars. Like if you were to ask a high school kid who Brad Pitt is, they're gonna be like, yeah. Or you ask a high school kid who Michael B is, like, oh, I know Michael B. But if you ask them who the hell King Batch is, oh man, I saw his video. Yes, like it's a different world. So like it is so real. It just sucks that Hollywood or the Academy won't respect comedy. And it's a thing where I'm like, what, like we don't have a big comedy award. What comedy award show is it? We can have the best comedy of the year, the best cameo, the best one line. Like that is something that I think.
And you can like maybe get it with the Golden Globes because of that distinction, but because they lump in musical and comedy, it's just like it always goes to like La La Land, you know. It's
and
like
because they Golden Globes uses comedy as a way to get in movies that were never going to compete for drama, but aren't really
The Martian
or you know. But it was like it's just like their comedies are always weak. Like I don't know if Marriage Story was considered a comedy, but I know somebody.
It better not have.
Like I know someone like I don't know, like you know, like it's like the most comedic movie. Like the only comedies they recognize are Wes Anderson comedies, or like a really like white indie film with
has no
stars
jokes.
like Little Miss Sunshine. That's like that's like funny at times, but like at the end of the day, it's like more of a dramedy. But they would never do that with a black, you know,
Absolutely not.
comedy.
I mean, first off, we don't get to make quirky indie movies, so. I mean, that's a factual.
But the thing is,
I just had to
okay.
like we don't get to do that.
Well, like Sorry to Bother You was like a quirky indie black movie, and they didn't recognize it at all.
So.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
if it was if that was like all white people, then they would have been like, oh. But because it's black people, they're like, oh, that's not really. Like, it just isn't. Like, they don't recognize. There's something about black humor that the Oscars feels like isn't Oscar work. I mean, maybe it'll change now. We actually didn't even talk about all of the changes that the Oscars did. Did you guys see that?
Well, the thing is, I mean, I had a long talk about those changes, and I think it's very interesting because it doesn't necessarily change the contents of what we see. Like, you still can have, I guess, like, again, one of my friends works for the Academy and I guess was a part of the team because she's a person of color who had to come up with this. And she's like, one of the biggest complaints she's getting from, she wouldn't say what race, but she said a large portion of people keep saying, so you saying Citizen Kane wouldn't be nominated? That's one of the greatest movies ever made. And she's like, well, the thing is, you can still have Caucasians in front of in the front. She's like, and that will continue to happen. Like, that is not going to change. She's like, it's just the back end. And like Ava DuVernay, as a matter of fact, has an app coming out called Arrayed Crew, what is basically it's like all the below the line crew members of color. So it's like something that people of color can like get on, and that way crews cannot say, oh, we don't have a grip, we don't have this. But I don't think we're going to be able to change the landscape of like black indies and stuff like that until we have people make them, because Sorry to Bother You was dope, but I also think because we have such a lack of funding and the lack of, honestly, the lack of directors who can get a movie actually made as of right now, it's like we don't have the people who can take those risks. Like, I think about Olivia Wilde, for instance, right? Made one movie, even though she's Olivia Wilde, got a chance to make a comedy, which was an indie, but had a good budget, now could do a Marvel movie. I think about, a lot of these white actresses turn directors, and they don't get a chance to do a lot of, a lot of the black directors, whether it be male or women, don't get a lot of the chances that a lot of our white counterparts get, and it doesn't matter their level. Like, I was just reading about Regina King and her movie coming out, and she had to put a lot of her own money into that movie just to get it made, and now everyone's like, boom, this movie's thing. And she even talked about casting was important to her because she wanted good actors, and she knows the controversy between like black and British, but also to get it made, she had to have at least somebody of known
with
people,
like a name, and
to get it made. And I'm like, we don't get to risk that. Like, we don't get to have this random ass dude in a movie and the movie pop because I got to put somebody who's known in the movie to get the movie made because it's black people.
I'm sorry. I'm actually sincerely, this whole time you've been talking, I'm still upset that people came back with so Citizen Kane wouldn't
Citizen
be
Kane was
nominated.
an example.
I've been seething quietly this whole time because okay, I don't want to go off. But yes, it wouldn't be nominated. Fuck Citizen Kane. Because it is representative of exclusive Hollywood, like Hollywood being like the black. Citizen Kane doesn't star a black person and never would have. That movie never would have starred a black person.
There's no reason that black people couldn't have been in Citizen Kane.
Right.
It wasn't a movie that needed to exclude blackness. Like, that's the point. I don't understand what people don't get about that. It's like, one of these people could have been black. They don't need to be the lead. Like, it's not, we're not saying every lead they could be a supporting character. Like, that's one of the things that it talks about. And there could be people behind the camera that are also minorities. Like, that's just what it is. Yeah. It's the thing that I don't.
No, I'm just saying it's so funny because I'm like, there's so many movies. Not saying these movies would be nominated for Oscars, but there's so many movies we watch nowadays that wouldn't make it in. Like Anthony Mackie was talking about, Marvel movies wouldn't make it in because they don't even have. He was like, yo, I mean, honestly, good for him. He's like, yo, I love Black Panther, but and I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, yo, but I'm also very mad at it because he's like, I've done 6 movies and it hasn't been a Black PA. But then when an all Black movie comes out, y'all can find a Black crew and they go away after that movie. And I'm like, that is something so interesting where it's like, Hollywood will always talk about how diverse it is. And it's like, I mean, but is it? Think about
and it's one of the reasons that I like what what these rules are doing, because it does to a minimal. What it's at least saying is going, look, we're not going to keep rewarding you guys for like not diverse. It's like Coen Brothers, like how many movies, like you made Lady Killers, like how many movies are you going to make that have like 0 people of color anywhere involved within this whole making of this film, and then we're going to keep nominating you every time you make a movie? Like, no, like we're going to stop doing that. And if you want to, you can make whatever movie you want. We're just not going to honor you for it. Like, and that's all it is. I think it's so funny that people get so upset. It's like, I'm like, the people get so upset, are getting so upset now, are the same types of people who looked at us when we were like, yo, why isn't the Oscars and nominated people, and be like, dude, it's just an award. Who cares? You know what I mean? It's like, it's the same type of person. You're like, okay, so then why do you care now that, like, you know, Wes Anderson might not get nominated for his next film? Like, why do you care?
And it's frustrating when I think about actors. It's like, if you look at a majority of like our big actors, and I'm not gonna say majority, so I don't want it to be that vast, but like a lot, some of our famous actors, a few of them, I think about, man, they didn't pop until they were so much older than a lot of these white people. It's like, I think about Viola Davis, I think about Regina King. Regina King has been around since she was 9 or 10 from 227. And like, now we're talking about Regina King. I think about, I've been really thinking about Chadwick Boseman a lot. And again, never met him, but something about him just feels so personal. And I think about his timeline. You know what I mean? Like his timeline of fame was 6 years. Because again, I sent you two something very random. Like, my man was doing like short films and like student films in 2013. You know what I mean? Before he got Days of Our Lives and stuff like that. And I'm like, at that point, he was already in his 30s. You know what I'm saying? He was already in his 30s, and it just feels like we as Black people don't have the opportunity to have someone say, it's a risk if someone lets us do something. You know what I mean? Like, you could go to every school. Like I told you guys, like, even this movie that I'm personally trying to force a Black person into the lead, I'm like, it could be. It's just literally people are always saying, there's few Black people in this small town. Yeah, but niggas are still in the town. You know what I mean? It's like this
nigga still in the town. You can find a nigga in the town.
If you're telling me like, oh, you know, this is about my town, and yeah, you know, it's not that many Black people. It's like, yeah, but they there. It's like, it's so hard because at this point, it's like every time I hear a Hollywood person say, oh, we couldn't find this or we couldn't find that.
Yeah.
It hurts my feelings because it goes, one, are you saying we aren't worthy enough to have this chance taken on us like you would do to a white person? And that goes to white women too. Also, like, did you look? Like,
and to that same end, like, even just thinking about, like, if it's like, to what you're talking about of, like, trying to force a Black person into the lead of this movie, it's like people probably even also think, and we've talked about this multiple times on the show, but like that, like, in order for them to be Black, you have to change the movie, you know?
Yes.
The movie has to, it's a different movie now. It has to be, they're on drugs and whatever, you know, like whatever it is, they have to like change it to make it Black. And it's like, no, you know, just so you know, like, I'm Black and I grew up in an all white town and I, you know, like, it's like there are people that exist, and it wasn't all of this big production. You don't have to do things to make this story Black or whatever. It's frustrating.
The one question I heard was, but the character isn't cool. And I'm like, do you think because he's
honestly
Black,
thank you,
inherently becomes
I appreciate that every time I go somewhere people think I'm cool. I appreciate that. But people need to know Black. I'm not. Okay, I'm not.
I mean, I don't even have any stories for Hollywood. I think it's just something in me where I think I'm starting to come to a realization, which is very dumb because we've been doing this podcast for like the amount of a child going to grade school, so like that length. But it's like it's really starting to hit me that like we will continue to have to do a bunch of shit. And the thing that's really shocking about it is I'm not a person that's like we always have to create our own, but in my mind it's like Tyler Perry is able to do a lot of stuff because at the end of the day he has his own thing. He's able to greenlight his own thing. And even more and more as we pitch, the more and more as we try to get people to like greenlight this and that, I'm like, I'm not pitching people who look like me. I'm not even pitching minorities most of the time. So it's like, I understand like there's not a black person there, but I'm not even pitching somebody who comes from an experience of other. And I'm like,
and have we talked about this yet? But if there is a black person in the room, it's like one, and like they can't go. They can't be like, we're greenlighting every black creative that comes in. Like there's been pressure on them to be like, is this the one that I have to like that I want to fight for? Or is this the one even? Right? Like it's like.
But then how do you fix it? Like it. But is the fix? You know, like my grandfather, when he was alive, was never in support of segregation, but he always kept saying, you know, when they weren't allowed certain places, like growing up, his community had a bank. They had a really good school. They did these things because they had to. And I'm like, we are in this situation where Oscars mean a lot to me. But at the end of the day, it's like, should it? Like, should.
Yeah.
Even think about, we talking about Chris Rock. It's like, Chris Rock was able to make this movie. He probably raised a lot of money himself. And it's like, he went through more hoops. I know he went through more hoops to get this movie made than Greta did to get Lady Bird made. You know what I mean? And that is a constant in Hollywood. Chris Rock has joked about living in a neighborhood and being one of the greatest stand-ups alive and lives next to a white dentist. You know what I mean? Like
it's such a good bit, and it's just him saying real life.
It's real.
It's such a memorable bit. And he's just like, this is just, here's a bit. This is who I live next to.
Like as us on this Zoom, no matter how much money we make, no matter how much notoriety we get, we still will be seen as, I hate to say it, but it's like we will still be seen as black, but also other because we've got the success. You know what I'm saying? And like that bothers me because it almost makes it like our blackness is different because we worked super hard or we did this and that. And it's like, no, man, we can just be normalized and simple. And again, thinking about like this movie and even Bray talking about like, yeah, it wasn't, you know, it is too much of a comedy. Like I've seen white comedies that are like silly and it's just like they still get a chance or they still get to be talked about. There's still like white actors who are average, who get nominations, and we always sit and go, how, Sway? Where is the scene? Where is the scene that you're going to play for the nomination and it's like, damn it, you deserve this jump? It's like, no, we just like you in real life, so I'm going to give you this fucking nomination. That was more Dear Gerard than a Dear Holly.
That was.
Sorry.
All right, well, I got called out a few weeks ago for talking about Hancock too much, so I don't do a bit anymore.
Wait, what? You always
got called out by one person.
I don't do a bit anymore.
This is the definition of petty.
I don't do a bit.
So you now not gonna talk about Hancock because that one person was like, "Hey, nigga, stop talking about
one person
Hancock."
of the thousands of listeners.
I don't do a bit anymore. I'm bitless.
Bitless? All right. I don't like this bit. Okay, so
I'm bitless, Bray.
No, right, yeah.
What's up, folks? It's Black Man Can't Jump in Hollywood. In the last year, we've been surprised by a lot. One of the biggest surprises is that more and more people actually want to talk about race.
Talking about race is hard, but these conversations aren't impossible. They're necessary.
Do the Work is a new weekly podcast hosted by actor and activist Brandon Kyle Goodman, who I actually went to NYU with. He invites us all to have honest conversations about race.
Each episode, you'll meet two people, friends, partners, coworkers, who have an uncomfortable, offensive, and sometimes even racist moment that they want to work through.
Brandon, along with author and racial justice educator Debbie Irving, who I went to NYU with, will untangle these moments so we can all learn how to have these tough conversations with our own loved ones.
James didn't go to NYU. And we'll get real takeaways on how to be better allies in our own lives.
Everyone has bias, including Jonathan Braylock. So you know what? Let's talk about it.
Join the conversation on Do the Work, available wherever you get your podcasts. I did go to NYU, didn't I?
We all have done a scene or two at an NYU theater class. You know what I mean? Trying to get that reel up.
It's time for the cause. We rate and review films not based on how much we like them, but whether or not they help the cause of leading black actors in Hollywood. If we feel this film fully helps the cause, we give it a black fist. Feels like it somewhat helps the cause, we give it a white palm. If you think it doesn't help the cause at all, we don't give it anything. The count of three, we're gonna raise our fists for the. Raise our.
James,
raise our ratings. 1, 2, 3.
James,
Yeah, 3 black fists.
Yeah, that's right.
Black fists. James, you can't give it 2.
I gave it 2 black fists.
No, I mean,
it's written and directed by Chris Rock, and it got every black actor in every black comedian.
He was giving everybody a cameo.
When Bruce Actually showed up, because I forgot he was in the movie, but they kept talking about him, and I was like, man, I love how much love Bruce is getting. He's not even in the movie. I said that out loud to my wife, and then they cut to Bruce.
Yeah.
Just sitting in the club. Yeah, man. Oh, wait. Oh my goodness, one of the women was on our show.
Yes, Haley Marie Norman.
Haley was on our show.
She played
That was
Tammy.
Haley, right?
It was indeed.
That was Haley.
Oh my God. That was insane.
Haley. That scene was insane.
That was a
I
crazy
gave this
scene.
movie a fist because it's something about like a dramedy that has comedy I just really love. I feel like when we hear dramedy, people oftentimes we lean more to the dramatic than comedy. And I'm like, I think we can lean to comedy and still have dramatic moments. Like, again, like, Braylock and James have heard me wax poetic about, like, I have a real big problem with a lot of these comedy nominations for, like, award shows because I'm like, it's not comedies. It's like, it's a drama with 4 jokes. And I'm like, that is not a comedy. A comedy makes me laugh. A comedy, I should be like, I should not go, huh, that's funny. I should laugh. I should laugh. In this movie, I laughed, man. Like, seeing her stick that goddamn hot sauce, oh my God, I can't even think of his name. Whatever. When she stuck that shit up his ass, tampon. When she stuck it up his ass, I'm like, it is funny because, again, my man is screaming, why?
Right. He doesn't know. And he doesn't know.
Why? Like, that is a comedy. And it's like, you can be... Rosario Dawson is acting her ass off. She delivers jokes, and she's dramatic. We can do it. Stop doing this sad comedy shit. Like, be funny. We can be... I don't know, guys. This is making me sad. So now I guess I'm in a sad comp. Anyway, I gave it a fist.
Yep.
Cool. So 3 black fists. Guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. If you want, you can follow us at Black Men Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. BlackmenPodcast.com is our website. We have our defunct Patreon there, but hey, if you want to throw us $5, listen to those back catalog of episodes. Totally can do that. If you rate and review us 5 stars, give us 5-star review on iTunes. We'll read your review on the air. I'm gonna read this one. Okay, I gotta read this one. 5 stars. Okay, this is by Mick Kelser. What happened to the swirl? And then the first sentence is, I should mention up front that I'm white. Prior to listening to this podcast, I saw the film Mary Poppins Returns, and I was a little disappointed that Lin-Manuel Miranda's character, who has had a crush on the sister, carried 3 passengers across London on his bike just to go to her labor rally that didn't even benefit him in any way and was not even given so much as a hug in return. Now I have daughters, so I couldn't really express this observation to them, but after listening to the Beverly Hills Cop episode, at least I knew that I wasn't imagining things. But then when I heard the review of Shark Tale, there was 0 mention of the soft swirl opportunity. That was created by an animated romance between characters voiced by Will Smith and Renee Zellweger's characters. I still like the podcast, but I feel like you guys have abandoned something. I can't believe that Shark Tale is the movie that made him go, what about the swirl? That's insane.
I really appreciate this.
But I can't help but feel like you guys have abandoned something.
I mean, we have abandoned it, but the fact that Shark Tale was we were never going to do it, even if we were still doing it. Like, that's a kid's movie, and animated, so you can't even.
No,
All
that's
right.
not. It's a
That's
shark.
hilarious. Anyway. Oh, yeah, you can follow me at John Braylock.
James Third Comedy.
At Jerah Milligan.
All right, we're going to see y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.
Forever Dog.
This has been a Forever Dog production. Executive produced by Brett Boehm, Joe Cilio, and Alex Ramsey. For more original podcasts, please visit foreverdogpodcast.com and subscribe to our shows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Keep up with the latest Forever Dog news by following us on Twitter and Instagram at Forever Dog Team and liking our page on Facebook.